My beautiful friend, Dale Power. It is such an honor to have you here today on the podcast. Please introduce your wonderful self to the audience.
Oh, Francesca, thank you. Well, I have played many roles. I've been a business owner for 22 years. I started the outreach division of Woodland School, which was essentially a win-win marketing project that was great for the school and good for the community too.
Mm.
I'm a mom and all of those roles, but I have loved being an entrepreneur. And when I was at Woodland, something started calling me when I watched new kids who came into the school change their whole attitude within about 3 weeks and just transform
Mm.
into what they be, what they could be. And it was so powerful.
Let's lean into that because that's an incredible story. I have something here written down. It's called the Encouragement Project. Is that what we're speaking to?
That
Tell
is
us
what we're
more about
speaking
that.
about. Yes. Um, well, the encouragement project started when I was at Woodland. I was writing a book uh, about finding help for kids with learning differences
Mhm.
because that help is not so obvious. And all of the people that give it are sort of under the radar. They don't typically advertise. So um, I was busy. In the second year, I was almost finished the book. And every day they start school with an assembly, K through 12. And after announcements, the faculty and staff go around the perimeter of the room and do shout outs of good things kids and adults did the day before. And it has a magical effect because it's different kids and different adults every day. It's not
Mm.
the stars, it's not the jocks, they try to catch everybody. Sometimes it's challenging, but they manage to do it. And it has an amazing effect. It's not the only thing that makes that school successful by any means, but it is a very consistent factor in the culture of the school. And it's great for the adults as well. So it's a warm place to work. It's a supportive place to work. And that's where the seeds of it started. And I watched these new kids come in, and the new kids come in kind of emotionally black and blue because they've failed in other settings, although they're
Mm.
bright. They've made the decision that they're not. And no parent can undo that decision. That has to come from something else.
Yeah.
And that third week, I walked into assembly and all the body language had changed. And I went, holy cow, what just happened? And I got very curious about it. And after several weeks, I had identified it as the power of encouragement that crossed 12 grades of development. I mean, that's a lot of developmental changes. So
Absolutely.
that was what I thought was the common factor. And so I was busy. You've got other jobs in a school. And I read some books which I didn't think were too inspiring and got busy and didn't pay too much attention.
Mm.
But this idea kept bugging me, nagging me, nudging me, and wouldn't let me go. And even though I left the school almost 10 years later and started a marketing business, it still was there. And through
Wow.
stories and people and reminders. And then 5 years ago, I got a call on a Sunday morning from an old friend that I went to college with. And I'd lost touch with him. And he said, I'm calling to say thank you. And I said, what are you thanking me for? And he said, you saved my life. And I wanted to make sure I said thank you. I'm
Mm.
like, can you remind me what I did?
Right? What an
I have
incredible,
no memory of that,
right.
anything so dramatic. And he said, well, you knew that I wanted to go to medical school. And he said, you knew I was slacking and you knew I was smoking a lot of weed. And he said, you sat me down and had a talk about what you saw that was possible in me. And he
Mm.
said, I gave up the weed and started working. And he said, I went to medical school in Mexico, came back to Chicago, passed my boards the first time, and 3 years in, the University of Chicago invited me to teach. Then
Wow.
Sloan Kettering gave me a brilliant fellowship, and 4 years later, Harvard called.
Mm.
And I'm at the top of my career. And it wouldn't have happened except for that conversation. And I went, maybe I should do something about this.
Yeah, right. We could all use a little bit more of Dale. Absolutely. The
So,
power of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I realized in that moment, it was nice that he told me that. That was very nice. But I realized after the call that the most important part of that was that on any day, each one of us has the power to save a life, change somebody's path, or simply make someone's day. And that's a pretty nice outcome for a day.
I'll say. I love that. We do. We all have this power, right?
Yeah.
We're reframing our culture and the importance of feedback and sharing kindness with words, right? Our
Yes.
words have a lot of weight, and you
Oh,
just shared such a beautiful example of, like you said, I did something, I didn't even realize I did it. And sometimes
yeah.
I think there's the opposite effect where we say things and we hurt people, right?
Right.
So how can we collect ourselves, if you will, and always think in those powerful words, right?
Well, I think we have to think of encouragement as a set of skills that we need to sort of up our game on. And these are the skills of raising our awareness, um, embracing curiosity instead of just snap judgment,
Right.
um, listening for not only what is said, but what is not said. And this is a whole set of skills that I am diving into. And I think this is where it is. It's redefining encouragement that it's not just a pat on the back. It's not a trophy. That's just gratuitous. It
Right.
is a set of skills that when practiced at a higher level can really transform a whole lot of things and people.
Right.
Um, I had a conversation the other day with someone who knew David Montgomery, who had been chairman of the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what he said. He said, when you met Dave Montgomery, and he was loved, I mean, he was really a loved guy.
Yeah.
Um, when you met Dave Montgomery, the first thing he asked you was, tell me about your family. What are your kids' names? What are they doing? How old are they? And if he saw you 18 years later, the first thing out of his mouth would be, how's Doug? Where is he now? What's he doing?
Wow.
And he said it was that the thing that made it magical for everyone with Dave was that he cared
Yep.
and he remembered it.
Right. Yep. I want to say it's fascinating, but it's an old tale. Like it's reminiscent to me of what Dale Carnegie wrote in his book, right? How to win and
Yeah,
influence
it
people, win
is.
friends and influence people. It's just being that kind and generous soul and understanding we're all here to support each other. We're all here for a reason. And if we put that first and foremost, like you said, in redefining what encouragement means, it's not just like you said, it's not just the pat on the back. And you said some, three magical terms, to gain this skill set: curiosity, awareness, and listening. And it's that approach, Dale, I think that is so critical, that beginner's mind approach
Yeah.
that, just it's the first time you're meeting someone, like let go of judgment and
Mhm.
just
Oh,
lean in and listen in to what this person has to say. And if this person, whoever it may be, has some kind of anger issues, it has nothing to do with you. There's something that
right.
they're dealing with, right?
Absolutely. One of the little exercises, I do a lot of training through tiny experiments. And I was sort of thinking about a tiny experiment the other day, which I try on myself first. And I was walking into Wegmans and I thought, I'm going to just count the number of times I judge myself or judge someone else while I'm in the
Mm.
store. 30 minutes. I I ran out of fingers. So, you know, and it's, when you start to be aware of how often you're judging yourself, especially yourself, because it's important to be able to encourage yourself as well,
Yeah.
um, or other people, then that's really impacting your conversation.
Yep. It's impacting the conversation you have with yourself.
Yep.
And without that self-love and self-care,
Yes.
we can't love others.
And it's also impacting what's possible because the negative judgments that we have, regardless of whether they're self-judgments or judgments of others, can shut down a conversation faster than anything.
Mm. I love that tiny experiment. Tell me about another one. I just love that. That's going to be in my challenge. At the very end, I always give, the top 3 takeaways, but I think we'll challenge the audience to do that very same thing. Give themselves 30 minutes
Mhm.
and
Oh,
count.
sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so simple. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't require any equipment. You've got all the equipment with you right on your hands.
Right? We have our hands right. I love
After
that.
you remember.
Right.
Another one is, another part of this is playfulness. We don't think of playfulness, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I think humor is given very short shrift right now. And
Yes.
people want to be able to relax and laugh with each other. And
Yes.
so here's a tiny experiment. When you go into some place like a convenience store or the Starbucks or some place that you visit, your favorite coffee place, if the clerk is wearing a name tag, say their name and then tell them something wonderful
Mm.
themselves. You have the best smile I've seen so far today. Or, whatever it is, be
Right.
creative about it and make it fun,
Yep.
because it can, and make it silly, because
Right.
it will also help everybody around you and
The
give
ripple,
permission. Yeah, give
the
permission
ripple effects.
for
Yep.
that playfulness. And it's so much fun to do.
It's so much fun to do. Wow, that's another challenge on top of the challenges. Just go out there, give someone a compliment. And to your point, there's a ripple effect of this happiness and paying it forward, right? And then that
Yes.
person's going to feel great and their work environment's going to be fantastic. For whatever reason, I'm thinking of like my barista the other day
Yeah.
was having a, yeah, I love my coffee. Like that's how I start off this show. But I saw her first thing in the morning and she seemed like she was having a tough day. And I was just talking with her about it. She goes, "You don't know how good that just made me feel." I
Exactly.
sensed that something was going on because when I'd seen her before, her face was always up and high and smiling. For whatever reason, this past Monday, it was down and she was busy and she wasn't looking up. And I said something and shared something with her, and she goes, "You have no idea what that did." Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
That
And
made my day,
yeah. And,
right?
and you see that impact. I mean, you may have just changed your life and you don't know it, and
And
you
I
don't
don't
need to
know it.
know it. You don't need
Yep,
to know it.
I
That it
don't. It just
really,
felt great.
yeah,
This
that's
is
a great story.
incredible. Thank you. Well, you have great stories. I literally have the chills as I'm listening to you because the power and the impact of just sharing our kindness in our
Yes,
words and encouraging others. Like you said, it's not just that pat on the back. It's just
no,
so beautiful. Um, and the tiny experiments mean so much because I believe those are skill building exercises. Would you
they
agree,
are.
Dale?
They are. And the thing about these exercises are they start out very simple. And
Mm,
that's good because you could find 3 excuses for not doing something, but these are
mm.
so simple.
They're so
Um,
simple.
and then we raise the complexity and make them a little more complex, but not a lot. But then we bring everyone back together to notice, like, what was your insight here? What did you learn? Just like your story about the barista. I mean, those stories are fuel for everybody else's fire.
Yep. Yep. This is so tremendous and critically important to work culture because
Yes.
companies, corporations, whoever they are looking to engage their employees and create a culture of engagement, if you will. These are perfect examples of how to do so. So, my friend Dale, as you're going around and doing this incredible work, is there something in your closet? Is there a piece of clothing or an accessory that's important to you? Like, how does it make you feel when you put it on?
Oh, it's so funny you should say that. I have this chain with a a little acorn, a silver acorn on it.
Look at that.
And I wear it a lot because I bought it because it reminds me that I want to keep growing.
Mm.
And it's just that's something that I identified a long time ago as something that was an essential part of my life. And so when I wear it, it's just a little reminder.
And how beautiful it is that you're wearing it today. You did
Yeah,
not
how about
know I was
that?
going to ask that, and you just happened to pull it up. And for those of the listeners who follow me on YouTube, they'll be able to see this wonderful piece that you're wearing and that you shared with us today. Is there any final piece of advice that we can share with the audience before we conclude that can help them have a better day today?
I think that realizing that you have a power to save a life, change a path, or just make someone's day is pretty powerful. I call it rocket fuel in your pocket because it's portable. It's not awfully hard to learn, but it takes a little practice. And the practice is fun because you get immediate results.
Mm.
You either get an effect or you don't. So,
Mm.
if you don't, you can say to yourself, well, maybe I need to try something else, or maybe there's a different way of handling that. Or if you do, it'll make your day. Because it's interesting that it's almost better for the giver than it is for the receiver.
Right? That saying,
Sort of
uh,
unintended.
right? It's better to give than to receive. Like that's just what we're saying
Yeah,
here.
that's
Just
exactly
right.
right. Yeah.
It's
And for
so
some reason, we
beautiful.
don't believe that. I mean, we don't think about that, but it's true.
Right. Yeah. And it's not just the material. We're talking about the
No,
immaterial.
yeah,
These words
no,
have more weight than a wrapped present,
you
right?
bet
They
it.
have a
You
lot
bet.
more
Yeah,
weight.
absolutely.
This has been so wonderful. If someone wanted to continue the conversation with you, Dale, because you
Mhm.
have such great work that you're doing and sharing, where's the best place for people to find you?
They can find me at theencouragementproject.com,
Okay.
or they can find me on LinkedIn under
Okay.
Dale Power. Those are probably the two best places.
Wonderful. I will certainly add those links into the show notes so that people can just tap on those links and you have a nice, easy name to spell as well, which I can truly appreciate for not. But I so appreciate the good that you're doing in the world today,
Thank you.
um, and for making the world a better place, Dale. I wish you the best day ever. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Francesca. You're the best.
You're the best.